Hi, thank you for joining. We'll get started in a few minutes. Thank you all for joining. We'll get started in a few minutes. Hi, Abraham.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining. It looks like you're at work. Are you at work today?
Yes, yeah.
Oh my
I
goodness.
am.
Great. Okay, well, we can see what the working man looks like in this program. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now that you're here, we'll go ahead and get started. We might have a couple people shuffle in as the time goes on, but we'll just get started right now with your info session since I know that people are in the middle of their work days or their school days. So I really appreciate everyone coming out to hear from Abraham. If you're coming to this info session with very little idea of what the Washington semester program is, we are part of American University, and we bring students from other universities around the country and around the world to Washington, D.C. every semester to work a unique DC internship, which we help students find, and to take immersive seminars in DC that bring you all around the city and let you hear from really cool guest speakers and learn about different organizations that kind of make our country run. So we really appreciate that Abraham is here today to talk a little bit about his experience in the program. Abraham is a political science student at Middlebury right now, and in WSP, he's interning, as you can see, for U.S. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto on Capitol Hill. So without further ado, I'll start turning it over to you. One of the first questions that I have for you, Abraham, is There are a bunch of different programs that do similar work to WSP, bringing students to DC. There are also different study abroad programs students can do. So if you could you shed a little bit of light on why you chose WSP in particular for this spring 24 semester?
Yeah, of course. Before I start, you're able to hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. Thank you for having me, by the way. It's a pleasure. To start off with your first question, the reason why I went ahead and chose WSP is certainly because well, I found out about it once um, WSP came to visit me at Middlebury and during my study abroad fair. And I felt like it was a really good opportunity to go ahead and, explore the DC atmosphere and just really get myself out there. And, I really believed in taking my professional career to the next level. Specifically, why WSP? I really believe like the seminars are truly one of a kind, and it's something you won't really find in any other like Washington semester program here in DC. I really love like the seminars, and I also really love the professors. They're very engaging, and I just believe the seminars are truly one of a kind and very interactive when it comes to like taking trips and just like overall like the content being taught in these seminars is truly one of a kind for sure. And I believe that's kind of what drove me to WSP. And also another thing to mention is you don't have to go ahead and be a particular major to go ahead and be a part of WSP. So you don't have to be that's one of the things that I thought while coming to WSP was that I was going to be mainly revolved around political science majors. While that may be the case, WSP is very welcoming to other like majors. I've met people who are like economics majors or finance majors. So I think that's really really cool to have in this experience.
That's a really great point because that's definitely
Yeah,
true that so many of our students are interested in political science, government, international affairs.
yeah,
But students are free to intern wherever they would like when they're in DC, and there are a world of internships in other fields as well. And you can take other electives with AU that help fulfill maybe if you have a different major credit. So I appreciate that you pointed that out. Yeah, and we're going to hear a little bit more from you about the seminars later on. So it's great that that's such an important part of the program to you. But first, like I mentioned, a huge part of our program is that students work an internship and that they have our support services at their disposal as they search for that internship. So if you wouldn't mind, could you tell us a little bit about what your experience was like landing a DC internship, especially maybe working with our internship coach, Karen Carter?
yeah, of course. So I was actually interning at the office where I'm currently at, but in the Las Vegas. So I'm from Las Vegas, and last semester I was interning in the Las Vegas office for Senator, the one I'm interning for, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, for Nevada. I was interning there, so it was kind of an easy shift to kind of on my part to go ahead and like transfer over to the DC office, and just like I still had to go ahead and go through the process every other intern goes, submitting my application, doing the interview, the whole application jazz. So it was definitely more of an easy switch, but I also did go ahead and I made sure to go ahead and apply. I was advised by um, Karen Carter to go ahead and apply to at least like 50 to at least land one internship. I applied to about 20, so I guess I would say I got lucky. I was mainly tackling. I really wanted to focus. I kind of knew where my tackle was when it came to narrowing it down to what kind of internship I was hoping to land. I really wanted to focus more on their journalism and communication aspect um, of the political spectrum. So yeah, so I kind of knew what I was hoping to get out of my internship, and that was to kind of get more experience on the communications aspect.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
sounds a lot like Karen to say you should apply to
yeah,
a local places anyway.
yeah,
Because we do
yeah,
encourage students to apply to, I think we say about 25 to 30 internships at the very least as they're doing their search. And just to quickly touch on a couple of the other ways that students land their internships, because it's wonderful that you kind of had these connections going in. A lot of our students don't have that sort of thing going in, which is totally fine. They find them through an internship database that we offer, which has a lot of different curated opportunities in the DC area. Some students find their internships through our virtual internship fair. which is an opportunity to meet employers virtually and kind of learn about the openings that they have and schedule interviews from there. Other students will be encouraged to cold call or cold email positions that they're interested in, even if there aren't openings. So there will be a lot of different ways that students find their internships. And it's great to hear that you're one of the students who is already doing this really cool work prior to even being in the program, which kind of leads us into the next question, which is, what do you do at your internship and what would you say you're learning there?
Yeah, of course. So before I answer that question, I will go ahead and recommend if you're looking to get an insight of like day in the life or what day in the life of what our days in the life looks like, I would totally recommend looking at the AU WSP Instagram page. We'd go ahead and like have those weekly takeovers where you get to see like an insight of what our daily lives look like. So don't know if you will like tech later go ahead and mention that later on in the slides, but I would just go ahead and definitely check that Instagram out. It's like I think we leave it to at AU_WSP. So
Yes, that's right.
definitely go get it, check it out. But yeah, so kind of what my day in the life looks like. So I'm the press and digital intern at my office. So there's 7 other legislative interns. I'm the only press and digital intern. What that means is basically I go ahead and monitor the senator's social media pages. I go ahead and note down and document any of mentions that she has had throughout like like throughout the news coverage or just like news articles in general. And I also keep the office informed by like highlighting any national and Nevada news in the office, and then that documents later sending out to the whole office. So which is also forwarded to the senator, so she's also aware of any news that's happening around national wide and Nevada wide.
Wow, that's so exciting that you're like kind of on the pulse of where she is in the media.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So if you said what you were learning, would it be like those communication skills or how would you say like your skills as a working person have progressed here?
I feel like they have, because I mean Middleburg doesn't really offer they don't really offer like a journalism. They don't have a journalism studies, so I feel like it definitely was it was a really good opportunity to kind of wet my feet in that. Just that I have no prior experience of that, and I'm really grateful for my internship that like they took me in while not having any prior experience with that position. If that makes sense. So I feel like definitely like it in all levels, it led me to see how the communications aspect works. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's nice
Yeah,
that you got to kind
yeah,
of practice something that you might not be able to do at your home
yeah,
school. And it's great that they
yeah,
put a lot of trust in you. I'm
yeah,
sure that you had a wonderful resume cover letter, but it's
yeah.
cool that you were
Thank
able
you.
to kind of take that leap.
Yeah.
Has there been, I know that for some students, like going to work near Capitol Hill and
You might have lag. Don't know if you can hear me.
senators' offices can be, are you there?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I can hear you. Perfect. I
Okay.
lost you
Um,
there.
yeah, maybe that was
Yeah.
on my end. I'm not sure. So for a lot of our students, going to work in, these really important DC offices can be kind of a surreal experience. But also just doing your work, it's so important and it's so vital to the work that your senator is trying to accomplish. So has there been any sort of one standout moment or lesson that you've taken from your internship so far, a couple months in your DC tenure?
uh, More so on the educational spectrum, or what, like something that like stood out to me.
Just any sort of moment that you thought was
Yeah.
cool or surreal or
Yeah. I mean, the center did recognize me from so I had like I did mention, I did internship with her in her Vegas office last semester, and I had a very brief lunch with her in Vegas, and she did recognize me from this semester. Like right when I entered, stepped in to her office, the very first day of my DC internship, she like kind of like was looking at me, and then we later on we had a actual roundtable with her, and she's like, oh yeah, I did recognize you. So it was kind of nice to like see that like I did get recognized by her, and it also kind of shows me how like I will say that working in and interning in the Hill, like the Hill's very small, so I feel like you're often going to go ahead and run into people, and that's not something I was expecting, because usually when I thought before entering here, I thought the Hill was going to be like it was a very big community, but and no, in other words, it's a very very small community. But I like it. Yeah,
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 that's no, I
yeah,
think I would
yeah,
also kind of think, like big rooms of interns or something, but
yeah,
really it is you
yeah,
all getting this contact with these very important people. So that's
yeah,
great. That's
yeah.
amazing that she recognized you and has this personal connection with you. So thank you so much for talking about your internship experience. We're going to pivot a little bit to talking about the immersive seminars that we offer. These are mostly, so in the fall and the spring, we offer about 5 or 6 seminars, and students typically take 2 of them. And like Abraham talked about and is about to talk about, these are very immersive in DC, and you get the opportunity to go to a bunch of different cool places that you might not otherwise get to see. In the summer, you have your internship course, so it's going to be a little bit different. But Abraham's going to first talk a little bit about the seminars. So how would you say they're different from a normal class, and what is an average day like?
Oh yeah, they're very different. I mean, I come from Middlebury, so it's like very different. Like everything and just everything in general is very different. Like traveling to class in the metro or like in a bus, it's very different. And I feel like you definitely get that experience if you're coming from a smaller school in the middle of nowhere. It's definitely very very different, and it's a very cool experience that I really enjoy. I would like, if I could describe the seminars in one word, it'd definitely be like hands on. It's very hands on in the sense that, like I did mention earlier, you do go ahead and take those trips. You do go ahead and take those trips, and then I feel like even a little, and I feel like the content's very it's very, how do I say it? Like it's very what basically like the seminars are very much like, if you're interested in international affairs, it will be about that interest. And I feel like that's something that I really enjoy, because I'm really into like American politics, and my American politics seminar is very based focused on that. We were doing a worksheet on like political debates, and we like watched kind of like the how like history and how kind of how it has evolved over the years, and that's something that really intrigued me. So definitely I feel like it's very hands-on in that sense compared to a regular class where it's kind of just like classroom based. But I feel like it's um very hands on, if that makes sense. Don't know. If you need me to clarify, I can go ahead and clarify.
That's it's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
very
yeah,
interesting season in 2024 to be part of our US politics class, because I feel like learning about the debates as they're going to go ahead and get
yeah,
started is
yeah.
a really cool time to be here. So you mentioned, taking the metro places. If you had to describe like one of the past days that you've had in a course, I know you're doing something different every time. What have you done, like from where you started and then where you ended up? What does that day look like?
Yeah, of course. So basically, typically, whenever I don't have, I'll just go ahead and give you an example. Whenever I do, so I do go ahead and internship. I go ahead and intern 2 times a day, 2 times a week. My apologies. But sometimes whenever we don't have that like WSP class trip in the seminar in the morning, like because usually for my classes, since I do have afternoon classes, for example, let's say I don't have, we have a trip in the for that class in the morning, and then we have class in the afternoon. Typically what I like to do is I like to go ahead and add more in hours for work. So I typically I try to come in to internship in the morning, and I try to go to my afternoon class if I don't have that class trip that day. And then after, after I leave by like 12, and then I go home and change, and then I have class at like 2:30. I hop on the metro. It's like an hour ride, so I typically just hop on the metro by like 1:20 to get there by 1:30. And typically, what like I did mention, my Americans, I will go ahead and touch on briefly about my American politics seminar. Is I feel like I really enjoy it, because we go ahead and, like, the other day we were talking about the State of the Union, kind of like why we were diving into like the history of it, and just why do presidents go ahead and uh they go ahead and talk to the nation about, like, just in general, like why are these State of the Unions held and stuff. So I feel like it's very it's very hands-on. Yeah, I'm struggling. Sorry.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
apologies. Okay,
no worries.
I should have asked at the beginning, but you're taking U.S. politics, and then what's your other seminar?
Yeah, I'm taking American politics. I'm taking communications in times of crisis class. So it's kind of like communications, journalism studies. And then I am also taking, I'm taking a, I'm so sorry. I'm like blanking.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm taking a, why am I blanking?
That's totally fine.
Yeah,
When I
yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
student, I forgot all the time what classes I was in.
Yeah, yeah,
But you
yeah,
mentioned a couple of the places that you've gone.
yeah,
Have there been more particular site visits that you've loved or guest speakers
yeah.
you loved hearing from that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so we taken a class trip to the Library of Congress. We also done the Capitol tour, and then I know we're also planning to do the White House tour. And we done so many incredible trips. Like even if it's outside from these like really big site visits, we also done trips to like museums. I know I've taken like 3 trips to like the not the National African American Museum, really cool museum. If we ever have like time to check it out, love it. But yeah, we've done like incredible just trips to like museums and stuff, and I think it's a really incredible experience.
Great. So, well,
Yeah,
thank you so
yeah,
much for talking
yeah,
about that and those immersive seminars.
yeah,
And then for anyone here who's interested in the summer, your course is going to look more like a kind of professional development class where you're working with the professor to just make sure that your class is as successful as possible, that the internship is as fruitful as possible for you. That class will include some of these site visits, even though it's mostly focused on the internship. So hopefully, even in the summer, you have these sort of unique DC experiences to look forward to. But pivoting one more time, we're going to have you talk a little bit about just what it's like to live in DC. Most of our students live in apartment buildings that WSP has relationships with, and these are in downtown DC and then right across the border in Maryland. These are regular apartment buildings with lots of different amenities, and they're very nice. They're very different from a typical dorm room. And our students do usually like living there, especially because they're in really good locations for getting to the rest of DC and getting to the internship, which is so important that you're able to get everywhere in a timely fashion and kind of learn a little bit about what it's like to be living in a city. So, how would you talk about your time in this urban apartment living space?
very different from a typical like college dorm. Um, extremely different. I honestly I really love it. I go ahead and share an apartment with 2 other roommates. Both of my roommates, they actually came from the same college and they're also in the same football team, which is really nice. Like that they already have a connection and stuff. So it's a really cool experience. And honestly, like everything is at your fingertips. Like the subway station is like a 5-minute walk from my apartment. And it's like you can easily it's easily accessible. Another cool thing that WSP also provides is they go ahead and provide you with the AU Metro card, which you can go ahead and it would gives you an unlimited Metro rides, and that's something I wasn't aware of until I actually got here. And it actually like saved my life. It's totally like a really cool thing to have I guess tips. But it's just a really cool experience to like live in an urban apartment, especially with there's so much going around in DC, so much all the time. I just feel like there's just so much and so little time. But yeah, it's there's just a lot of stuff going on, especially when you're at the center of DC. A lot of cool events, and especially right during this time, DC is so beautiful in the sense that like the cherry blossoms and just like nature coming out. Yeah, so
I know, I've just been
yeah,
amazed walking around at what our
yeah,
city
right.
is capable of.
Yeah,
Thank you for talking about the U Pass. I was actually gonna
yeah,
ask about that. So yeah,
yeah,
this is the pass that fall and spring students get for very, very discounted metro trips. It pays for itself super quickly. I need to find a way to get one for myself because I'm always really jealous of the students that have one. So yeah, that's great that you're able to
yeah,
get around so easily. That's
yeah,
exactly what we want.
yeah,
Since a couple people here might not have ever lived in an apartment before, or maybe just coming straight from dorms, could you just quickly talk about
yeah,
how like cooking and grocery buying is? Because most of our students aren't on a meal plan since they're in these
yeah.
apartment buildings.
Right. So yeah, definitely it's more so it's more on someone your own responsibility to go ahead and like cook and then that meal prep. Definitely for me, it's definitely been a huge lesson trying to like meal prep every time like I come into work. So like my meal prep before the night before, and definitely learning those like boundaries between your roommates, whether it's like cooking or just like essentials or just anything in general. It's definitely like we need to get more toilet paper or we need to get more toothbrush. It's definitely learning those boundaries between your roommates and just learning how to be an adult. I honestly feel like I was talking to my mom. She's like, I went home for spring break, and she told me this one thing I will never forget. She's like, you left as a boy and you came back as a man, just because I learned so much about like just like learning how to meal prep, and I learned how to like meal prep so many like different meals, and I've experimented here and there. So definitely that. And I do have like another great thing is like I really we have like me and my friends have cookie nights. Sometimes we like cook muffins and we like it's just a really cool experience to have that like apartment like to just go ahead and like when it comes to the kitchen and all the utensils like plates and stuff since we do go have a partnership with turnkey. Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
was I frozen or were you frozen? I'm so sorry.
You were
Okay.
frozen. It's
Oh
fine.
my gosh, I'm so sorry. On my
Yeah.
view, you were frozen, so I'm
Okay,
terribly
okay,
sorry.
yeah, it's
But that's
probably me.
well, that's great. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that we have mom's seal of approval for what the program can do for you. Um, is there anything that was on your DC bucket list that you accomplished, or anything that you still have for the time remaining in the program?
Yeah, definitely just the cherry blossoms for sure. That was always on my bucket list. I never seen the cherry blossoms at all, so it's definitely been a cool experience, like seeing that, and also just the museums. Like one cool thing about DC is like it's unlike other cities like New York or like any other city. It's like the museums are free, which is a really cool thing to have. So yeah, just going around like taking an afternoon yourself to look at portraits and stuff. So it's a really cool thing to have those museums, and yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. So
I
I
know.
would say that was my list.
Yeah, we're so
Yeah.
it's so easy to get used to the free museums and then hard to go back to places where you have to pay for them.
Uh,
So yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely nice to take advantage of while you're here.
Yeah.
We're down to our last couple of questions, and then we'll have the chance for participants to ask Abraham questions about his experience. But one of the last ones is, you've been in the program for a little over 2 months. Is there a favorite memory that you have so far from your time here?
A favorite memory that I have from my time. I will definitely say just I would definitely say just like getting it would come from my internship. So I act like we had just we had like I did mention I had that roundtable with my senator, and it was just really nice to go ahead and like get to talk to her and stuff, and also just in general I feel like my experience overall working in the Hill has been a definitely great experience. You know, I often run into like senators. Like the other day, I like ran into like Bernie Sanders, and then the other day, I like ran into AOC. So it's like it's really cool to like work in the Hill and like get to run into these people that I really like look up to and I really follow through. So it's I guess it's a really nice experience to like also go ahead and do that. But I guess another favorite thing that I do have is honestly just like the cookie nights I do have with my friends. Just like that's something I really do appreciate it. So I wouldn't say a specific one, but definitely like all those collided.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what some
yeah,
other students have
yeah.
mentioned is how you
Are you able
I
to
am
hear me?
so sorry if I am the
No,
one.
no,
I
no,
deeply
no. I believe
apologize.
it's me. I can go ahead and let me go ahead and try to switch Wi-Fi and let me see if that works.
Okay, well, we can
Yeah.
also, we're almost at the end, so I'm also
Okay.
fine if
Okay.
we want to
No worries.
just push
Okay.
through. I'm
Okay.
sorry to the participants, but hopefully we'll get,
Yeah.
hopefully you're able to hear all of his
Yeah.
answers, and
Yeah.
it could be on my end as well. So yeah, so the final question is just, generally, how would you say that this program has affected you, either personally or professionally? You did kind of touch on, like you mentioned, your mom said, turning you from a boy into a man with the
Yeah.
independence, or
Yeah.
your professional things that you're learning. But what would you respond to that?
Definitely just like both personal, like I did mention with my mom, definitely like personal more so on like just actually being learning to be responsible and be actually becoming an adult. I feel like that's been a really good takeaway from the program itself on the personal level. And then professionally, I honestly feel like it has like also like it has kind of taught me like in so many ways, and I'm very grateful for it, like in like the growth that I do have professionally, just like learning how to multitask in a work environment, learning how to like also even communicate with people like professionally, and just like in so many ways it has taught me. And I know I'm like talking about like my experience on the hill, but I feel like this can go any wherever you choose to like intern. It will definitely teach you on just how to like go ahead and be professional and like in the work environment, and just yeah.
Great. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for answering all of those.
Yeah.
Before we quickly get into questions for you, whoops, that was my
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah.
Before we quickly get into questions, I'm just gonna say for people that here are some of our deadlines. We do have this summer deadline coming up for summer applicants. March 31st is the final deadline if you want to get an app in before then. And then for our fall and spring programs, we have deadlines coming up in May, and then later this year, if you're interested in spring 25. And if you have questions right now about the application process, or admissions or anything like that, you can ask me. But I'll go ahead and stop the share so anyone can ask any questions they have for Abraham, about his time here.
I have a question.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead, Chris.
Okay, so if you could, what's something you wish you would have done differently during your time at DC?
Honestly, go I would like it makes me really sad that I'm kind of at my half point. It makes me really sad that I'm kind of in my half point of my semester, but definitely like go out more. Definitely go. I will say like you're in DC, go ahead and immerse yourself into the city and go out whenever you hear about an event. And something that I will mention, another thing, a great thing that WSP does is they go ahead and highlight on their Instagram, which again I will not sponsored. I will go ahead and highlight their Instagram. Go ahead and check it out. They go ahead and put out like great events like coming up in the weekend and stuff. So definitely like something I could have done differently is definitely immerse myself more into like the city and just like do more, because we're only, if you think about it realistically, we're only here for a semester and that's not very long. So definitely just if you do choose to like do the semester, I would definitely highly encourage just put yourself out there. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I was also gonna ask about the summer internship, since that's what I'm applying for. My question is about housing is that, because I live in the dorms right now, my biggest concern is the roommates. Well, when we, how do I phrase it? If we do receive the internship and we choose to our roommates, my biggest concern is that since I'm from out of state, I would have to navigate to DC to do this internship. My question is that, how will you know who your roommates are, or when you just assign me a roommate?
I can just answer. We generally just assign students roommates in WSP. But if you had special requests or accommodations that you need, then we're able to kind of work with students to make sure that they're with other students who are able to best fit those accommodations. So it's something that you would work with my colleague who works on housing with. If you had also someone coming into the program that you can request to live with them, and we're usually able to accommodate that as well. So yeah, so we're able to be a little bit flexible, and then but if you just want to know who your roommates are in advance, then we will just tell you whenever we do the roommate assignments, which I think should be later this spring. Um, I do see a question that I also want to touch on of what's the general length of time for the internships. In the fall and the spring, it's a 15-week program. So you generally work your internship that long. You might start it a little bit later or end it a little bit earlier. In the summer, we have an 8-week program, and the nice thing about summer is for our housing, there's an earlier move-in window and a later move-out window. So you're able to start your internship in terms of when our housing opens as early as around mid-May, May 10th-ish. The program officially starts June 4th, and then it officially ends July 26th, but you can work it into mid-August. So there's a lot of flexibility on our end, like I said, with housing as well. But you're able to kind of work with your internship to make sure that it's best for you and for them. So generally 8 weeks in the summer and 15 weeks in the fall and spring. And then, Abraham, do you want to answer Kevin's question about whether you get paid?
So I personally don't get paid. However, it really depends on the internship you look for, and that's something you have to like look into yourself. Because there are internships that do get paid and others that don't. So it's definitely more so on the internships that you go ahead and you go ahead and apply for, and you go ahead and accept. So, but personally on my end, I don't get paid. But there are some internships that do get paid. I know my roommates do get paid for the internship.
Okay, sorry, this is another time when you were frozen on my end. Did people
Oh,
get to
sorry.
hear his answer? It might just be me. It might just be me who didn't. Could someone just give a thumbs up if they heard the whole answer? Okay, Nella, did you hear it? Or okay, good. Yeah, sorry. I think that my Wi-Fi is bad, so I apologize to everyone. But yeah, it's you can get paid or you cannot get paid. The paid internships are more competitive here in DC. So if you're looking for a paid internship, it's good to get an early start to make sure that you're being like super vigilant about applying to those. But it's definitely not guaranteed just because most of the internships offered here are unpaid. So it's up to you to really prioritize what you want to apply to. And then for the summer session, will you be notified if you're accepted? Typically, applicants to the summer session who submit applications gets notified with an admissions decision within a week of their submission. Let's see. So do you have to pay for living costs or any other costs? Yeah, so Abraham, I don't know if there have been other costs that you have seen in this program so far, apart from the UPass, which students have to buy, which allows you to take unlimited rides on metro and buses, and then food costs. Is there anything else that you feel like you?
Not necessarily, no. It's more so on like like your utensils, whatever, like I did mention, like for your apartment, like toilet paper, just like the basic necessities. Other than that, I haven't really have seen besides the food and like basic apartment necessities. No, I have not. Yeah.
Okay. And the apartments do come fully furnished, so you don't need to bring the things that
Yeah.
you would typically need to bring to an apartment, right? Is that
Right. Yeah. So basically, we do go ahead in partnership with the organization called Turnkey, which or when you go ahead and move into your apartment, they'll go ahead and give you all the apartment necessities. So I didn't even have to buy a bedding for my bed because they already came with it, and also like it came with plates, forks, and all that. It even came with a mop, so it's great.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, so yeah, it
Cool.
will all the basic necessities will be at your fingertips, but definitely more so like be aware that you will have to go ahead and pay for like your own, like it's not like in a dorm where you go ahead and like you get toilet paper and it's like no, you have to go ahead and you're responsible for that at your own cost. So,
Yeah. I guess
yeah
that would be some
yeah
household items that you'll just need to replenish and talk to your
yeah
roommates about, like you
yeah
mentioned.
yeah
But no, typically, yeah, they say all you need is your suitcase when you live in turnkey.
yeah
So you don't have to pay for those basic things. So really just metro and food, I would say. In terms of all interns living together,
I think you're frozen.
she's frozen, right?
She was on my end.
WSP students do live with one another, but it's usually 2 in downtown DC and 1. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. I'm so sorry, everyone.
No, no worries.
Yeah, so typically our students live in apartment buildings in downtown DC with other WSP students and with other young professionals. There are 2 apartment buildings downtown the students live in, and then one in Bethesda, Maryland, which is right on the border off of the red line of DC and Maryland. So they do live in 3 different places, but I imagine are able to spend time together. Abraham, I don't know if you want to speak to that at all. Do students in the other apartment buildings hang out with each other?
Yeah, I actually do have that's the cool thing about like the program is that since we are like all in the same classes, like the same seminars together, we do have like friends who like live in different buildings. I do have a my group of friends, so, like also I have my group of friends that live in my building, but I also have friends from that live in the other building. So it's great to have that like connection. So yeah, you will be in communications with friends like that live in other places. And also I like you don't have not all students will live in the apartments that WSP provides. Some will have their own housing, some will have their own apartments, some won't even live with their own like relative family and relatives. So that's a really cool thing to like have that. Your friends are kind of all scattered around the city.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're not
Yeah.
required to live in our housing, and there are students who do choose independent housing, and then sometimes, especially in the summer, maybe, who want to live on AU's campus. Um, like we mentioned for your Chris's question about econ and business internships getting paid, it really just depends on where you apply. We couldn't say across the board that it'll be paid or
Right.
unpaid. And then once you arrive in DC, there'll probably be different ways that you get to the apartment building. We don't have like a shuttle necessarily at the airport or anything, but there's metros from both of the nearby airports to the main part of DC. There are Ubers and buses, so I think that's what our students usually do in order to get here. And then there's the question about how many hours a day is the internship. We typically say students will work 3 days a week, around 8 hours a day. But then Abraham, you touched on your schedule's a little bit different. Do you want to mention that one more time?
Yeah, so I work on so I typically work on a week. I work on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 5 p.m. just because on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays I do have afternoon classes. And then even if I don't have that, like even if I like you would say like, oh, you can why don't you just go ahead in the morning? I go ahead and I do try to go ahead and fit my hours. However, the thing is, there is some class trips embedded in the seminars. So let's say on a Monday, I could have a class trip for my afternoon class on Monday. It's kind of like I have to have it, kind of leave an open gap for that, just in case there is on a week um, that I do have a class trip. If that makes sense. And then if I do know beforehand that I do not have a class trip, I just go ahead and message my internship coordinator if I can come in, just to try to go ahead and add more hours and be more present in my internship. If that makes sense.
Okay. Sorry
Yeah.
if I'm gonna quickly just kind of like have us end the session before my Wi-Fi bugs out again because it was frozen there just now for me. Deepest apologies one final time for the Wi-Fi troubles, but thank you so much, Abraham, for coming, especially in the middle of your workday, and for all of you for coming and hearing a little bit more about the program. I just put my email address and then some links to our website and the admissions application and our social media that Abraham mentioned earlier in the chat. He and other students have some really great videos about what their time in the program has been like, what there is to do in DC. It has internship tips, so there's a lot you can find there on our Instagram. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have that are outstanding. And if you have specific questions for Abraham, I'm happy to send them his way. But thank you so much again to all of you, especially Abraham, for taking the time to do this. And I hope we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you,
Thank
Julia. Thank you
you.
for hosting
Yeah.
this.
Thank you. Have a good one,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.